Hi everybody, let's talk about a demographic transition model or DTM. So a DTM is this diagram over here where it draws your differences, your changes in birth rates and death rates, and also your population over time. So your horizontal axis is your time, and your vertical axis is either population, birth rates, or death rates. So population is here in green, death rates is here in red, and birth rates is here in blue. And your DTM is split into 5 stages, as you can see here. Each stage represents a different change. So let's go through it in order. In stage 1, you have high fluctuating birth rates and death rates over here, as you can see, which means because it's an early set of civilization, early period in civilization, your population is low, and with this birth rate and death rates evening out each other, your population is relatively constant. Then you move on to stage 2, where your birth rates remain quite high and sometimes fluctuating, but your death rates are the one which change and it starts to fall. So you produce this gap between your birth rates and death rates, which leads to your population increasing. Then you move on to stage 3, where your death rate continues to fall but at a falling rate, whereas your birth rate also begins to fall now. And this means this gap between your birth rates and death rates starts to shrink as well, which means your population still grows because there is a gap, but it increases in a decreasing rate. So as you can see here, it's starting to flatten out. And eventually you reach stage 4, where you have again fluctuating and birth rates and death rates. However, it is now low rather than high in stage 1. Therefore, your population remains constant. But as it has grown from stage 1 to stage 4, it is high. Then there's a potential change in stage 5, where your birth rates start to fall again, whereas your death rates increase slightly. Therefore, a gap between your birth rates and death rates, leading to your population decreasing. So this is your basic description and structure of your DTM. You have to know why and what examples there are for each stage, so let's go to them right now. For stage 1, the reason why there's high fluctuating birth rates is because there's high infant mortality rates, and if you watch my video on fertility, high infant mortality rates means families need to have larger families in order for the possibility of their children surviving into adulthood. There's also agriculture, so labor-intensive work. So you have a lot of children in order to have help free labor with agriculture. And there's a large religious and cultural prevalence in these early societies. As for why you have high fluctuating death rates, is because you have famine, so there's no food security. You don't have any coping mechanisms for any droughts that come in or any crop failure. Diseases and injuries, you don't have medicines, you don't have any antiseptics to help you, so you have a lot of deaths due to famine and diseases. Examples, as for countries-wise, there's no set example because most countries have developed away from stage 1 to stage 2, and examples are only undiscovered tribes or just tribes that are disconnected from our society, such as North Sentinel Island in the Indian Ocean. So let's move on to stage 2. Stage 2, your birth rates are still high, but your death rates start to fall. Your birth rates are high because of similar reasons to stage 1. You have agriculture and also religious and cultural prevalence. However, as your death rate decreases, your infant mortality rate also falls, but there's a cultural belief that you still need to have large children for your children to survive into adulthood. So this means you have high birth rates because they are not used to having small families. As for your death rates, you have falling death rates because there's improvements in healthcare and also development of medicines, maybe providing aid as well, and therefore you can fight against diseases and more of your people are surviving. Therefore, you start to have falling death rates. An example of this is Egypt. As for stage 3, now you see a fall in birth rates because of the low infant mortality rates. So your death rates fall, therefore it links to your falling infant mortality rates. And now the time lag is gone, and your families now see that they don't need to have large families anymore for their children to survive in adulthood. Therefore, they have less children. There's also mechanization for agriculture, so agriculture becomes more capital intensive and industry becomes more capital intensive, so you need less people to help work, and also maybe the development of contraception, the education and availability of it, that all of that contributes to lower birth rates. As for your falling death rates, maybe now you have clean water, maybe now you have food security, so you still have a fall in death rates. An example of this is India. Now we move on to stage 4, where you have low kind of constant or fluctuating birth rates and death rates. Why you have low fluctuating birth rates is because maybe you have improved status of women and you have family planning, so your birth rates are very low. And it's not really set. Sometimes your women will go out of work to have children. Sometimes they go back into work, so there's not a constant rate of birth. As for your death rates, it has now reached your natural death rate, so people dying of natural causes or maybe uncurable diseases like cancers. So you can't really decrease your birth rates below this level. Examples are USA and the UK, United States and the United Kingdom. Now we move on to stage 5. This is more so of a theoretical idea because not a lot of countries have seen it and there's not much research done into it, but we are starting to see this pattern. So you have now continuously falling birth rates because of a cost of living. Living is too expensive, so people don't want to have children. And also care is prioritized for the elderly. So when you reach this stage, a lot of your population will become old because all of these people over here, they stop dying. So as they reach here, they become the elderly dependents. So a lot of your tax money, a lot of your spending is put into these social services for the elderly. So your parents or your young aren't supported. So they don't have children because they can't support them financially. So you have declining birth rates again, and you have rising death rates slightly because there's an elderly death wave. So again, your elderly people that have been born in these stage 2 and stage 3, they start to move over here, where they start to see an increase in the death of the elderly people because you can't survive until you're 200 or 300 years old. You will die eventually because of natural causes or any other issues. So you see a slight increase in death rates because of the death of the elderly. Examples are like Japan and Italy. So this sums it up for the demographic transition model, or DTM. I hope you guys enjoy it, and I'll see you in the next video.